You're listening to the Packernet Podcast Network.
You ever hear of test driving a phone network? Well, US Cellular is letting you test drive their nationwide 5G for free. Try out US Cellular wherever you have spotty service, your commute to work, that one spot in your house where your service dips. It's as easy as doing a little beep boop pop boop pop with your phone. That's the buttons, that's the noise they make. Anyways, test drive US Cellular's nationwide 5G coverage for free for 30 days. Just download the Try Us app. US Cellular, built for us. Terms apply. Visit uscellular.com/try us. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the Packernet Podcast. I am your host and resident panelist, as always, Ryan Schlip. Check us out online, packernet.com. Find me on Twitter, pack_dadam. First of all, I should let you know that I'm going to be trying out a different recording software for today. I know there's been several complaints about audio cutting off and everything, and that's always kind of been a thing, but it seems like it's getting a lot worse. So we're going to try something different. I tried it out a little bit. Seems like it works pretty well as far as not cutting off words and whatnot. So we're going to roll with this and see how she goes. Please provide any feedback if something's wrong, if you don't like something, if something got messed up, let me know. But I'm hopeful this works out, because it's actually got some pretty cool features and whatnot, music, sound effects, extra little AI tools and whatnot. So if she works out, then great, grand, whatever. Plan for today is very similar to what we've been doing. We'll go, around the NFL, and then we'll circle back to the Green Bay Packers, and we'll plan on ending it right there. Couple little news and notesy drama things, not super surprising, because I don't think this guy has ever played a down of football in his life where drama wasn't attached to it. But no, I'm not talking about Aaron Rodgers. I'm talking about Randy Gregory. I honestly don't know why the guy is still in the NFL, but he didn't show up to training camp for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The guy, in all honesty, seems to be just a complete head case. It's all he's really ever been, but he didn't report to training camp. Todd Bowles just said he's not here. I'll talk to the guys who are here, and we'll deal with that internally. Gregory missed all 3 days of Tampa Bay's mandatory minicamp and accrued over $100,000 in fines. I don't understand why he's an immense talent, so I guess some teams just can't help themselves. But come on, man. Michael Gallup has retired from the NFL. Kind of surprising to me, anyways. Maybe this has been a thing for a while, but former Dallas Cowboys wide receiver apparently has decided to retire. He only spent about 6 years in the NFL. Don't know if it was injury related or what, but he is officially done. Also, a bit to my surprise, apparently Jaden Daniels is not, I shouldn't say he's not the Week 1 starter. Dan Quinn is not naming him the Week 1 starter. So we'll have to wait and see exactly how that pans out. I thought that was a done deal. I'm kind of shocked to hear that. I understand that you got to kind of slow play this sometimes. Some teams, they want to make it a competition, and we'll see how it goes. And who knows, maybe Jaden Daniels sucks. You don't want to declare him the Week 1 starter when he's not good, but I just thought this would be handled similar to how the Bears are handling things, where it's like, we drafted him early, he's starting, I don't give a crap, I don't want to hear it. Just you're doing it. That's it. We also have CeeDee Lamb expected to hold out. I'm also not positive, but I believe what I told you yesterday is that there's uncertainty in New England as to who the starting quarterback could be. I'm not positive. It does appear that Gerard Mayo, I think is how you say his name, has actually made a decision, and that is Drake May is not the starting quarterback. That doesn't mean that can't change, but as of today, he is not. So, I mean, when you look over the landscape of quarterbacks right now, it felt like a lot of starting quarterbacks got drafted. We knew that 2 of the first-round picks were going to sit for a little while. That was just part of the process. You sit, you wait, and you develop, kind of going the way the Packers have done it. But I had assumed that Drake May and Caleb and Jaden Daniels would at the very least be the front runners. And it sounds like Drake May is probably not going to start. Caleb is almost definitely going to start. And Jaden is a maybe. we could maybe put him in the probably category, but I mean, of all the what were 4 first-round quarterbacks, was it, or more? I don't know. Only one guy seems to have solidified his spot as that dude. Colts Anthony Richardson has been given the green light. He's a full go, so we'll get a second look at him. Last couple things, I like to provide some perspective once in a while, kind of see what other people are going through, and I've been picking on the Giants quite a bit, so why not continue that trend? Got a couple different tweets here from the Giants. We got one that says, Daniel Jones went 0 for 3 in the second set of team drills. He's now 2 of 8 on the day. Drew Lock throws an interception on his first pass with the second team. Basham caught a tipped ball. So, again, put yourselves in the shoes of a Giants fan. What do you have to even look forward to? Your quarterback sucks. He shows up to camp. He's bad. That's it. Then on top of that, Jermaine Illuminor went down. He was hurt. He is the right tackle. Illuminor was down on all fours, surrounded by trainers. Hard to speculate what's wrong. They were taking him back to the locker room before he went down on the sideline. Let's see, what else are they saying here? Oh, the Giants were relying heavily on Illuminor this year, either as a starting guard or replacement for Evan Neal. So, I mean, it's just, you lost Saquon. Your quarterback shows up. He's garbage. You've already got almost no hope for your season as it is. You basically already have given up. And then, Illuminor, who's really not good, but you need so much help. It's like, well, we really need this guy, and then he goes down. He's probably going to be fine, but it's just like, God, can we get a freaking break here? Can we just get a break? And finally, one of the biggest events in the offseason that I genuinely do not care about, but it ends up being a big deal, and then I end up talking about it. Via Ari Mirov, EA Sports announces that Madden 25 player ratings will be released starting on Monday, July 29th. So that's going to be a big deal. As soon as that comes out, we're going to be seeing leaks and everything else, and everybody's going to freak out, and I'm going to have to make some comments on it, probably, because it's one of those things I'm going to try to say it's stupid, and then I'm going to look at it and be like, okay, well, but that's really, that grade is really stupid, though. And obviously there's going to be questions about Jordan Love, and that's going to be annoying, and I'm probably going to get annoyed by it and sucked into it, even though I really don't want to. So that's always a fun time. Getting to Matt LaFleur's press conference, just a couple comments from him. Packers coach Matt LaFleur said that the offense has to start matching the intensity of the defense. That's quite an understatement. He said it was evident the defense got after it in the pouring rain yesterday, especially on the defensive line. Another quote says, LaFleur said he had no regrets practicing in the rain yesterday. He said he didn't expect it to rain that hard, that long, but thought it was worth staying out there and dealing with the elements. No argument from you there. Defense got after the offensive line yesterday, LaFleur says, but he's not overly concerned about the offensive line until the pads go on. And again, just phrasing it that way is kind of, do we have to worry about concern, or can we just be excited about the defensive line? I understand the sentiment of as a head coach, you need to be somewhat concerned about making sure that these guys are up to the challenge, but maybe rather than instantly saying, are we screwed, how about like, hey, the defensive line did God? It's just a thought. Just a thought. LaFleur says he is familiar with quarterback Jacob Eason, said he recruited him when he was at Notre Dame. The reason he's here now is needs another quarterback, so he doesn't overextend the two young quarterbacks who are getting all the throws. He goes on to say he could potentially stick around during camp if he plays well. Didn't rule out keeping 4 quarterbacks. This appears to be an extended tryout for Eason. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that last sentence. Only because what is the alternative here? If we just read that again, he could potentially stick around during camp. Well, of course it's potential. He didn't rule out keeping 4 quarterbacks. I mean, the bottom line is, I'm not going to take Matt LaFleur not saying, nah, screw that guy, he's only here for a limited time and then he's getting the heck out of here, as evidence that this might be a real legit shot for Eason. I don't think anybody thinks it's a real legit shot for Eason, and I also don't expect Matt LaFleur to publicly come out and just say, nah, we have no interest in this guy. He's just a camp arm for now until we get Jordan Love back, and then we're going to get him the heck out of here because screw this guy. That's not going to be a thing. But continuing, Matt LaFleur on safety rotation next to Xavier McKinney. Quote, every day is going to be a new guy in there and just let it play out. Could have multiple guys playing opposite X on game day. So we saw, I mean, first of all, that's not really the case. I mean, we saw all the way through camp, early on anyways, it was all Bullard. Now we had Bullard followed by Williams, and we'll see what the continued rotation is. We don't have Oladapo back, so I'm guessing it's AJJ. I don't know if we're going to go beyond that. We'll see how far down the line they're going to go and actually trying people out. But I think it's going to be mostly Bullard, followed by some Williams, et cetera, et cetera. The one interesting part about this, though, is the fact that he said he could have multiple guys playing opposite X on game day, which is interesting. I mean, it was always a possibility, but I kind of saw it more as packages, and it may be that. But it also may just be a simple matter of we don't have a solid, legit number 2 guy, and we're going to be mixing and matching not only based on personnel and not only based on scheme and package, but also maybe just based on who's playing well. You know, if Bullard is just not getting it, maybe we're going to give somebody else a shot. I don't know. So hopefully somebody establishes themselves and can be that guy for us. Also goes on to say, every day there's going to be a new... Oh, we already saw that. LaFleur said wide receiver Jaden Reed will be activated off NFI and be limited in practice today, so that's good to have him back already. Remember, he was at a, I think, toe injury from that kids camp that he did or whatever. So he's back, at least in some form or fashion. And then finally, LaFleur said there is no specific timetable for right tackle Zach Tom's return to 11-on-11 drills. Tom is recovering from pec surgery and is doing a very limited amount of practice. All right, why don't we take our first break right here? We'll come back and start going through the notes from training camp. And then pending some time, maybe we'll take a few calls. We'll see how she goes. But we'll take our first break, and we'll be right back. You ever hear of test driving a phone network? Well, US Cellular is letting you test drive their nationwide 5G for free. Try out US Cellular wherever you have spotty service, your commute to work, that one spot in your house where your service dips. It's as easy as doing a little beep boop pop boop pop with your phone. That's the buttons, that's the noise they make. Anyways, test drive US Cellular's nationwide 5G coverage for free for 30 days. Just download the Try Us app. US Cellular, built for us. Terms apply. Visit uscellular.com/tryus.
Hey, it's Kaylee Cuoco for Priceline. Ready to go to your happy place for a happy price? Well, why didn't you say so? Just download the Priceline app right now and save up to 60% on hotels. So whether it's Cousin Kevin's Kazoo Concert in Kansas City, go Kevin, or Becky's Bachelorette Bash in Bermuda, you never have to miss a trip ever again. So download the Priceline app today. Your savings are waiting.
Go to your happy place for a happy price. Go to your happy price, Priceline.
You're a podcast listener, and this is a podcast ad. Reach great listeners like yourself with podcast advertising from Libsyn Ads. Choose from hundreds of top podcasts offering host endorsements, or run a reproduced ad like this one across thousands of shows to reach your target audience with Libsyn Ads. Go to libsynads.com now. That's LIBSYN ads.com.
All right, kicking this thing off. Much better weather today, similar to further down south. Decent, but cloudy. Elgton Jenkins not practicing today. Jordan Love still no contract, so he is still not practicing. He's out on the field. He's doing whatever, but he is not, practicing. Starting lineups as they go through walkthroughs. Clifford still QB1 with Jacobs at running back. Wicks, Reed, Watson are the wide receivers with Musgrave at tight end. The offensive line is Walker, Ryan, Myers, Morgan, and Tom. So with Elgton Jenkins not out there, they've got Sean Ryan at left guard and Morgan at right guard. On the defensive side, Gary, Slayton, Clark, Smith with Quay and McDuffie at linebacker. Stokes, Nixon, and Jair at corner. Bullard, McKinney at safety. Again, saying we're going to have new guys out there every day. I mean, yeah, if you're going back and forth between 2 guys, fine. But it's not like we're just ripping through the whole safety group next to Xavier McKinney. Otherwise, I mean, defense looks about the same. Still don't have Edgerrin Cooper as the number 2 solidified quite yet. He's got a ways to go, and that's perfectly fine. McDuffie has been around a while. Obviously not in the system, but he's been around a while. He's a veteran guy. He's earned that spot, and Edgerrin obviously still has a little ways to go. So I do believe that sooner than later Edgerrin's going to take that job, especially with the positive reports that have been coming out. But for now, not so much. I do see some consternation about Devonte Wyatt not being out there, and he's a year 3 guy. He's not even a starter. I don't know that that's how I read that. The only reason I say that is because, remember, TJ Slaton is sort of that nose tackle type. I know it's not a 3-4 defense, but you still have sort of that nose tackle, one tech type of guy. And so that's how I'm reading that. I could be entirely wrong, but I believe that that is the role that is being played there. So you've got your 1 tech in Slaton, you got your 3 tech, which is what Wyatt is, behind Clark. He's not behind Slaton necessarily. And again, I could be wrong. He may be behind Slaton, but I don't think it necessarily has to be the case. I think, and again, my issue is we don't have a lot of 1 techs at all. Behind Slaton is Ford. And it doesn't have to be that way every single time. I'm guessing most of the time you have no problem having a guy like Clark and Wyatt out there. Not only just in passing situations, but because you trust Clark to some degree. But I understand that if you're just going out in basic base defense, you've got your 4-3 starting defensive line with a 1 tech and a 3. I mean, it's the most basic generic defense. Again, that may not be the case, but it also doesn't have to be the case that you're just going down the line in a linear line of all defensive tackles being the exact same thing with the exact same responsibilities, with number 1 being Clark, number 2 being Slaton, number 3 presumably being Wyatt. I kind of break them down into at least 2 different categories with the 1 tech, 3 tech. It may even be broke down further than that. Just my 2 cents on that for anybody else that may be somewhat concerned. We got Andy Herman elaborating on the starting lineups. He says players like AJJ, Evan Williams, and Edgerrin Cooper are rotating in with the 1s, but Carrington Valentine is on the other side of the field with the 2s. It's early, and read into depth chart stuff. It's the same word, so it's hard to know without the context. At your own risk, but certainly seems like Stokes is ahead of Valentine early, which, again, and I can't speak for everybody or whatever other content creators are saying, but that to me has always been patently obvious, that Stokes was going to be the number 1, and it's going to be an uphill battle for Valentine to win it. Again, however, Valentine has done everything you could ask a guy to do to actually steal that job away. I do think on some level Stokes is going to have to show some ineptitude, which I don't think we've necessarily seen yet. But I kind of see it as that would be a painful switch for the Packers because it's admitting defeat and essentially ending Stokes' career. I mean, if you lose to Valentine, it's over. You're not going to be on this team after this year. So they're going to give Stokes every opportunity to be the guy that they hope that he can be before they turn it over to Valentine. And I would borderline say, without both Valentine continually dominating and Stokes showing just an inability to play good football, without that happening, I don't think Valentine is going to start early. Now, beyond week 1, maybe there'll be some changes, but I think it's such a massive uphill climb, in my opinion, that Valentine plays week 1. Status on Elgton Jenkins, he is not injured. It's a veteran rest day, which makes perfect sense because, you can see the benefit of it, not only to Elgton Jenkins and wanting to keep a guy like that healthy, but more importantly, we got to get this offensive guard thing situated. And we know Elgton. We understand his role in this. It's more important that we get these other guys reps. We need Sean Ryan out there. We need Jordan Morgan out there. We need Monk taking snaps. We don't need Elgton Jenkins taking reps away from these guys because it's of course beneficial to have Elgton Jenkins out there, but it's more important right now that we get some reps. So I think guys like Elgton are going to be throughout camp going to be given some days off here and again. Keep in mind, Elgton Jenkins is not 35 years old. He's still a young guy, right? So he's a veteran rest day is just go sit down so we can, you're a established player rest day more so than old person veteran rest day. Aside from that, coming into this, doesn't look like anybody cropped up on the injury report, so all is well there. Kadeem Telford is taking some snaps with the number one offensive line in offensive line warmups. Dillard is with the threes. That's what Rashawn Gary does to a guy. It could mean absolutely nothing, but will be interesting to see if maybe someone else like Telford gets a chance at right tackle today. It's been a struggle for Dillard, and it is important to point that out. I mean, it's terrible news for Dillard either way. I mean, anybody can crop up, even the coaches could crop up and say, "Oh, I wouldn't read too much into that." But you are a first-round pick. You've been through numerous teams. You get a first crack at starting offensive line, and you get the crap beat out of you and then get demoted to third string, even if they're coming out saying, well, we just want to give other guys opportunities. Right. Exactly. We have now moved on to the phase of, let's see what other guys can do. And understandably so. I mean, the entire fan base is done with the guy. I'm guessing the coaching staff is not super far behind, and now he's being demoted, maybe not officially, but none of this is official anyways, to the number 3 defense or offensive line. It's just not that it was ever really looking good. I've never said anything other than this is beyond a long shot, but you get the feeling that this is basically over, and he's just a camp body, and the second they have other opportunities, they're going to take advantage of it. But for right now, we want guys like Kadeem Telford, and some of these guys we've been developing for a couple of years, some of the new young guys that have come in as undrafted free agents this year, whoever they may be. We want to give these guys opportunities to see if we have a Rasheed Walker or something hiding amongst the group. We got Pete Doherty providing a full list of the injury report. Packers not practicing today. Jordan Love, which is the contract situation. Corey Ballantyne, NFI hamstring. Keton Oladapo, NFI toe. Marshawn Lloyd hip. Donovan Jennings pup list with a knee. Caleb Jones pup list with a hamstring. Elton Jenkins veteran rest. And Tucker Kraft pup with a pectoral injury. Something not Packers related, but I just came across it. This was after I started taking notes. Defensive end for the Eagles, Brandon Graham, confirmed to reporters that he will be retiring after this season, his 15th in the NFL. Now, this shouldn't be necessarily surprising, and I'm sure it doesn't seem important to some people, but listen, the Philadelphia Eagles are one of the teams that are kind of on the verge of being great, but also on the verge of kind of being terrible. Now, as long as Jalen Hurts continues to play good football and they have a good offensive play caller, they're going to be okay, but this is a team that has had a great defense, primarily because of their great defensive line for a long time. They've done some things to continue that. They've got one really good young interior defensive piece. But I've been saying for a long time, these older guys that have been holding this down, they're not going to be around much longer. And so now you got Brandon Graham on the way out. I'm becoming less and less a believer in the Philadelphia Eagles. Now that happens sometimes and I'm wrong, like the Kansas City Chiefs, you start to see them erode and you go, it's just a matter of time, and it never matters because they have Pat Mahomes and Andy Reid. But I don't think the Eagles have Pat Mahomes or Andy Reid. So I take this as great news for the Packers because you're seeing even young talented teams. I mean, the Eagles in their current iteration with Jalen Hurts, have I been saying Jalen Hurts? My brain is stupid. In their current iteration of Jalen Hurts, I mean, they're a relatively young team, but it kind of feels like they're missing a little bit of a window here, that they're dissolving faster than they're growing and building. Anyways, getting back into it, Josh Jacobs getting some reps at kick return. I keep banging this drum, and maybe I'm banging it a little too loud, but it's already been mentioned that the way that the kickoff is set up now, it's more conducive to running backs than wide receivers. Generally, it's more of a running back style of thing. That is nothing necessarily against the kick returner that we have, and I hope like heck that Keyshawn Nixon continues to be a great kick returner. But something else to keep in mind, not only is it more of a running back thing, which, Keyshawn is more of a wide receiver, I guess you'd call him. Maybe he's, who knows, maybe he's more of a running back minded guy. I have no idea. But the thing that comes immediately to my mind is we've got a lot of running backs. We've got 3 guys, and one of them is going to be our number 1 guy. I mean, it's not impossible that Josh Jacobs end up taking a significant role. And if you're saying, well, Josh Jacobs is too important, that may be. But we've also got Marshawn Lloyd that I think could absolutely fill into that role. Less likely would be A.J. Dillon just because it doesn't seem likely, but this is a brand new year. And if A.J. Dillon is, how crazy would that be, by the way? Can you imagine A.J. Dillon just with a full head of steam? That's what we've all been waiting for anyways. A.J. Dillon doesn't navigate a pocket very well, but you get him just a solid 10 steps running downhill. I'd like to see it. I just want to see it. This is why I'd be a terrible coach, because they'd all be like, no, it doesn't fit. I'm like, I want to see it. I want him to strap up. I want to see him catch that thing and get just running north and south and just pop some people. I want that desperately. Because that kickoff unit isn't going to be defensive linemen out there, at least not many. You're going to have linebackers and safeties. Good. That's all we've ever wanted is open field, open grass with A.J. Dillon coming downhill at a linebacker. It's not going to happen, but I'm voting for it right here, right now. The Jacob Monk of the day is Travis Glover this time. I feel like young guys don't really realize how things usually go, and so they're kind of starting their own new tradition. We had Monk yesterday in the rain, running up and down the sideline, getting fans hyped up, watching them practice. Now you got Travis Glover, exact same thing. He's running up and down the sideline, waving his arms, getting the crowd pumped up. Again, I don't know if it helps you win the team with the coaches, but you want to get endeared to this fan base, I'm all in, man. I already liked Monk. I don't know very much about Travis Glover, but I'm in. You want to, you get a slight break on the sideline, and you use that break to run up and down the sideline and interact with fans and say, let's go, let's get jacked up. Man, I'm all in. I love that. Of course, we got the obligatory videos of A.J. Dillon against these sleds because he just obliterates them, and it's so much fun to watch. I mean, listen, I really want A.J. Dillon to have a good year. He is such a specimen of a human being. That's number one. He is such an absolute freak athletically. His build, speed compared to his size, everything about him is fantastic. Not only that, he's a great human being, seemingly. He's endeared himself to the fan base, but even more so to the community, which not everybody does. I would love for this guy to just hit his stride. You know what I mean? Because who cares? Who cares if he ends up... It's one of those situations where the negative is a big positive. What are we going to do? We just paid this guy, and now we got Dillon, and we got a rookie. Who gives a crap? Now, Dillon's not probably going to get enough snaps anyways to have some 1,200-yard, 15-touchdown season. So I doubt he's going to end up getting $10 million per year contracts. Maybe he's a little expensive, but the Packers have already shown a willingness to invest probably too much in running backs. So if you're giving a bunch to one of the best running backs in football, in Josh Jacobs, you offer a mid-sized contract to A.J. Dillon, you got another guy in a rookie. Just frickin' do it. Who gives a crap, man? Another tweet here from Herman. He says, interesting that in individual drills, they have the outside corners and slot corners separated. Nixon and Kalen King, the only two working with the slot group. I do find that to be interesting because we've talked about Kalen King. Now, I do think his skill set seemed to be that of a boundary corner. He looked to be more of a press man, boundary type of guy, which I appreciate. But we're kind of thin at slot, and maybe that's the only reason Kalen's being put in there, because we're thin there. But I also like it because it gives him a potential to win a job. So we'll see. It's been very quiet about Kalen King. I think, you want to talk about an uphill battle. Keyshawn Nixon losing that job seems unlikely. If he does lose it, you're looking at the safeties that have potential to be there. The boundary guys are very well locked down in terms of who the top three are. But still, as they get their hands on Kalen King and kind of see what he can do, it would be interesting to see how that develops. But as of right now, it sounds like Kalen King is working in the slot group. Also, again, it is an interesting tidbit that they have them separated. I kind of like that. I like that, our new DB defensive coordinator is that nuanced, that he's like, all right, boundary guys over here, we're going to work on what I'm asking the boundary guys to do. And then slot guys, you have a slightly different job, so I want to be very specific in what we're asking of you, as opposed to just going, corners, go do corner stuff. You know what I mean? As the drills get started, it is Kadeem Telfort starting at right tackle instead of Dillard. Again, make what you want of that. I think it's a legit concern for Dillard, who probably is not long for not only the Packers, might not be long for the league. Maybe being a first-round pick means he gets to be a career backup for the next 5-6 years, but it's just pretty ugly right now. Right out of the gate, we get this note: a would-be sack for Kenny Clark early in team drills. Defense picks up right where they left off. They got Dillard running number 2 left tackle today. The number 2 offensive line is Dillard, Newman, Monk at center, Smith, and Tenuta. Isaiah McDuffie all over a Josh Jacobs run in the backfield. Carrington Valentine with a near pick of Pratt, his third pass breakup since yesterday. By the way, I find that to be slanderous. I'm sure it wasn't Pratt. I mean, it couldn't be my guy Pratt. That's fake. But, dude, Carrington Valentine, I mean, we're just going to keep saying it. I mean, he is playing like a guy that does not expect to be a backup. He's making it very clear who he is and what he plans to be doing this year. And that is starting. Keyshawn Banks did a really good job setting the edge on a run. He pushed back Dillard. Freaking A, man. The guy can't... He's running with the twos now and he's getting picked on. Slot corners doing work in the run game. Nixon with a stop at the line, then Kalen King with a stop behind the line. Such a huge part of that position. Love it, dude. I freaking love it. Again, why separate them? They have very different jobs, and guys like Kalen King and guys like, assuming he's going to stay in the slot, like Keyshawn Nixon, are going to be expected to live in that backfield, which I freaking love. And Kalen King is very he's an aggressive downhill kind of a guy. I do not expect him to win the job over Nixon. I do think, although the odds are maybe not massively above 50%, I think Nixon is significantly higher odds than anybody else. Eason's pass for Wayne sails high, and Anthony Johnson Jr. nabs an interception. Back-to-back days with a pick for 36. Anthony Johnson also making a case. Haven't talked as much about him. Obviously, he's pretty buried right now. But again, another guy that's like, he's not accepting his fate as somebody who's going to be 4th or 5th safety on the depth chart. I tell you what, why don't we take a break here? We're, 30 minutes in, so it seems like a good place to stop. If you want to support the podcast, by the way, patreon.com/pack_daddy is one of the places that you can do that. Anyways, why don't we take a break? We'll be right back. Further clarification on this: Anthony Johnson Jr. with an interception against Jacob Eason. Certainly not Eason's fault. I heard sailed, but, it depends. You get different reports. He put it on the money to wide receiver Jalen Wayne down the middle, but pass tipped off of Wayne's hands. Somebody else, I believe it was Herman, said that Anthony Johnson did a really nice job of adjusting to and hanging on to the football. So just trying to paint a full picture. That's one of the things I love about having 50 different people covering this. It seems redundant to keep reading different tweets, but it's like, if we can get biblical for a moment, it's kind of like the Gospels. You got 4 different Gospels, which just give you different perspectives of things. And so when you piece it together, you get a fuller picture of what happened. I'm just saying. It's the analogy that came to mind. Leave me alone. Herman goes on to say, man, this defense is energetic and flying around. Nixon with a tackle at the line in a reverse to Melton. I mean, just both points on that are fantastic. Number one, again, the defense is not letting up. They are psychotic. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to translate to top 5 defense or anything like that, but similar to Valentine, if the defense was, let's say, a top 5 defense, what would you hope to hear? It would be this, right? So it doesn't mean that they are. But what I will say is, if they weren't this, I would probably be worried about their ability to become what we would hope, is their peak. So, again, maybe Valentine's a piece of crap. Who knows? But if the dude ends up being really good, you would expect to hear some things like what we're hearing. So it's a great sign, and I'm happy. But again, the second part of the tweet, Nixon with a tackle at the line and a reverse to Melton. I mean, these slot guys, man, making a big impact. I'm just getting excited. I don't know what to tell you. Maybe I'm being stupid. I don't care. I'm having fun. I'm loving this so much. That's why I got annoyed with the comment about, well, should we be worried about the offensive line? No, you should be jacked about the defensive line. That's what you should be. Well, should we be worried about Wyatt that he doesn't play? No. Maybe he sucks. I don't know. I don't care. Can we just Just celebrate. Just be happy. Be excited. Do I wish that I had 7 different tweets about Wyatt with a sack? 100%. That would make me much happier. But I don't, and they seem good, and we'll figure it out. And if Wyatt sucks, I will quietly cry in the corner for like a few days, and I'll get over it. Clifford tries a deep ball for Wicks, and Evan Williams picks it off in the end zone. Isn't that 2 for... It is. 2 days in a row, Williams, as he makes a leaping pick on a bomb from Clifford, says Huber. Wes Hodkiewicz with that first one. So first of all, Clifford picking up where he left off. I don't need to hear about your comments about Pratt's throw earlier. That's irrelevant. Clifford struggling. I shouldn't do that. I like Clifford a lot, and I hope that he is successful. I just want everybody to remember that Pratt's a little bit better. That's all. But Evan Williams, man, there's another guy I'm really excited about. He's got 2 picks in 2 days. Pretty much everybody has 2 picks in 2 days, but still, Evan Williams is making a name for himself out there. Herman's comment on that says, now Evan Williams with a 2nd pick in as many days. This one out-jumping Dontavian Wicks for a 50-50 ball. It's the 2nd time, by the way, we've heard about a 50-50 ball. Wasn't it Williams yesterday was the 50-50, or was that somebody else? It might have been Valentine. I don't know. It says it was in the end zone. To be fair, probably thrown more to Williams, but still a great play by the rookie safety. Eason with the best throw of practice so far on a rollout to his left, lofting it perfectly to DeBose over Jamon Green. 2nd time I've heard DeBose's name. I'm not keeping track like I usually do so that we can run back and see how it goes, because it's a lot of work that doesn't pay off as much as I would hope it would. But I like hearing DeBose's name continually pop up. Turner goes 2 of 3 on kicks. He is now 6 of 9 in camp. Wes Hodkiewicz adds on the DeBose thought. He says, DeBose has looked good this offseason. Had a good spring and a catch, nice grabs in TC, good route and catch on a ball from Eason. Jason Wilde says, was just about to say that, but Wes is always Johnny on the spot with these types of observations. Getting a few more of them from him today since we're not in a monsoon. So a lot of people taking notice of DeBose lately. Clifford opens team with a slant to Dobbs and tries go ball to Watson, but Stokes and McKinney are there. It's another thing I love to hear. Not only is Stokes able to try to hang with Watson, which is not an easy thing to do. Stokes obviously has blazing speed, but to have McKinney kind of covering that stuff. You know, when you hear about a shot in first team to Watson, McKinney's the guy you want to make sure is hanging over the top and can handle that kind of stuff. Herman says Eric Stokes with a really nice pass breakup on a deep throw from Clifford to Watson. Stokes ran with him step for step, got his head turned around, and batted away the pass. Valentine with nice coverage on Wick's next play, while Benny Sapp comes down with an interception with the 2s. So there's so much here. First of all, I mean, again, having Eric Stokes do that's why you love Eric Stokes. Those are the kinds of things that Stokes can do that Valentine can't do. It's not to say Valentine isn't a better corner. Stokes is just more athletically gifted. It's why he was a first-round pick. So very few guys can go stride for stride with Watson. Stokes is one of the few that can do it. The other thing I love about that is it reminds me, we listened a lot to Hafley in these press conferences and how he likes to play, and that was one of the things that we heard was you run stride for stride, then you get your head around, you try to make a play on the ball, and that sounds like exactly what Stokes did. Got his head turned around, batted away the pass. Then, Valentine, again, nice coverage. And on who? Not just some scrub, I'm not going to name names, but somebody that's further down the line, but Wicks, who is considered arguably one of our better route runners. And then on top of that, you got Benny Sapp coming down with a pick. Now, again, having not Jordan Love out there is probably contributing to the DBs playing as well as they are. But am I going to get excited about the fact that our DBs are breaking up every pass or running for stride, and are coming down with pick after pick after pick after pass breakup after pass breakup? Now that we have a new defensive coordinator in there who just so happens to be a DB coach. Oh, and by the way, we got Derek Ainsley, however you say his name, who is an incredibly gifted guy coming in to help with that. Now, I'm going to go ahead and be excited about it. And on top of that, we've all been screaming for more aggressive corner play, and it sounds like they are just step for step, stride for stride with every single wide receiver. Does that mean they're going to get beat once in a while? Probably, but I am freaking loving this. And then the report that just rounds out my day, Wes Hodkiewicz says, after Gary collapsed the pocket yesterday, Devontae Wyatt already has been in Clifford's face a couple times today. So there's my boy Wyatt. Telfort with a really nice rep against Gary, absorbed his power move, anchored and stalled him out. I mean, this if nothing else, that is a horrible report for Dillard. I mean, listen, Gary's good. He's not going to win every rep against anybody. He pretty much beat Dillard every single time that he got lined up against him. Then you get Telfort, who, no offense, but he's not David Bakhtiari. He just comes in and he's like, this is how you do it. This is how you stop a guy from doing things on every single down. Wes Hodkowitz says, we talk a lot about Caleb Jones' size. Kadeem Telfort is a massive dude in his own right, similarly built to you. The Packers have been doing that a lot lately, which is kind of funny because I always say, those 6'8", 300-pound frickin' or 360-pound guys that I always really like. The Packers are never going to draft them. They never seem to, but when it comes to late round / undrafted free agents, it seems like they exclusively go for the 6'9", 380-pound guys. I'm excited about that. Andy Herman says, interceptions everywhere. Eric Stokes now comes up with a pick of Clifford intended for Wicks. A bit behind him, probably a drop for 13. Again, bad passes contribute to this, but Wicks needs to go make plays. And who is making plays? The DBs. Now we got Eric Stokes, and Eric Stokes needed that. Again, we haven't had negative reports from Stokes necessarily, but Valentine is just one after the other. Now you have Eric Stokes locking down Christian Watson and then getting a pick off of Wicks. That's what he needed, and that's what I needed for my soul. All right, that's what I needed. Today's a soul cleanser day. I couldn't get what about the receivers? Don't you care about? No, I don't. I don't care about the receivers, the offensive line, nothing. This defense is psychotic. I mean, we've heard good reports from defense before over the years, but I mean, we don't ever hear of the defense just absolutely obliterating the way that they are. Last year it was kind of similar. The defense tended to win. Remember, Jordan didn't really look very good very often, but it was a lot less one-sided than this. I think you would even struggle to find times when Aaron Rodgers and the offense dominated to this extent. It happened. But, I mean, 3 days in a row, this level of absolute domination, I don't know, man. You'd have to really dig to find that. And I'll even take it a step further. I'll make a mini prediction. It might take Jordan Love a while to get into his stride because he's coming into an absolute buzzsaw. This defense has been doing this for days. I mean, if Jordan Love comes out and starts carving everybody up instantly, that is a massive props to Jordan Love, but I wouldn't be surprised if it kind of takes a while for Jordan and this offense to kind of get going because this defense has been in such an unbelievable rhythm. It's hard to cut into this. Here's a couple notes from Eversol. We probably covered a couple of these, but he's just going to rip through some plays that he saw. Couple nice plays from the number one defense early on. Wyatt would-be sack on Clifford. Clifford. Pitch right to Jacobs, blown up by McDuffie for a big loss. Again, downhill defense. Sean Clifford throws a bomb deep downfield to Wicks, but Evan Williams goes up, makes a play for the pick. Clifford's pass a little behind Wicks, off the hands, intercepted by Stokes. Clifford goes deep left to Watson, who had a step or two on Stokes. Ball was little late, and Stokes flagged for DPI. That's a Christian Watson too fast tweet, is what that is. It's a fun duel, though, Stokes and Watson. Schneidman says, safe bet you'll see the Bo Melton end around this season. Packers just ran it again and got Melton to the edge with Tyler Davis blocking Jair Alexander. Turner goes 2 of 3 again on his field goals. He's gone 2 of 3 every time, 4 of 6 on the day, 8 of 12 for camp so far. Really good pull block from Josh Myers and a perimeter run for A.J. Dillon, sealing off the edge. That's what Myers does so well. Great mobility for a big center. Isaiah McDuffie's having a really nice start to camp. Nice run stop for at the line of scrimmage for Dillon. And Igbare all over a wide receiver screen to Wicks. It feels like there are 14 defenders on the field. Again, a lot of these tweets are getting me excited, but how many times have you heard me say that? I mean, if you could have me describe, if somebody said, describe to me what a good defense looks like, I would say it feels like they have 14 guys on the field. That was every time you played. It was the Legion of Boom. I remember in that same era where the 49ers had really good defenses. They still kind of do, but man, you play against these teams as the Green Bay Packers. You got a good offense. You're kind of sailing through most teams, and you go up against these tough defenses, and it always felt like there was just an unbelievable amount of defensive players because no matter where you go, there's 2 or 3 guys there. Like, how are you doing that? And understand that there is a way that you coach that. Not to say that everybody's capable of doing it, but it's rally to the ball. And we know Hafley is big on that as well. Everybody rally to the ball. That's how you get to the point where somebody catches a pass, there's always somebody there, and 2 seconds later, there's 4 guys there. 5 seconds later, there's 10 guys there. It's such a overwhelming and exhausting defense to play against because it's just like there's nowhere to go. There's nobody open. There's nowhere to throw the ball. There's nowhere to run the ball. You feel like there should be space somewhere, but there just never is. There's always people everywhere. Cheating. It's just cheating. Deep wheel for Melton, short, and Wicks breaks up another otherwise interception for Jair. Nice throw. Clifford to Dobbs in stride over the middle. Jair in coverage. We got Stokes back for another one. Stokes picks off a stop route pass for Watson, his second interception of the day. How many picks have there been? Stokes has got 2. AJJ's got 2. Valentine, I think, has 2. That's 6. Williams has 2. That's 8. Does Valentine have 2? Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he had pass breakups. So we got at least 6. We got to have somebody go back and look at that because it's been a lot. And again, I will put in the caveat, a lot of this has to do with the quarterbacks not playing good football. And there is some concern out there that this is going to be a hindrance to your team. If you don't have quarterbacks that can play good football, that's going to be a hindrance to your offense developing and everything else. You're basically wasting all of these things, including for your defense to some degree. To a small degree, I don't mind. Now, you certainly don't want this to continue. At some point, you need Jordan out there. You need to run your offense. You need everything to work as it's supposed to. But for a small amount of time to give your defense that has never been good, the freaking oomph, that they need to give them that belief. A lot of this is belief. You're telling me this defense doesn't believe they're going to be the greatest right now? I understand they probably had some. They're like, dude, these quarterbacks suck. I get it. But I have to believe that they believe, and that's great. Now get Jordan out there. The defense is flying around, feeling good, kind of getting a better feel for things. I'll just say this. By next week, Jordan needs to be out there. We get 3 days. You get a break. You get 3 more days, right? So that's 7 total days. You're working 6 out of 7 is how this is generally structured. 3 days on, 1 day off, 3 days on. If we get through that first week, if we get through the first 6 practices, or I should say, once we get back to that 7th practice, so 3 days a break, 3 days a break, and then we got 3 more days, I think is how that lays out. If Jordan's not back then, it's becoming a problem. But, getting through it, at the very least, these first 3 days without Jordan, giving the defense a little confidence boost, I really don't care. But it's going to start becoming a problem because as much confidence as the defense is getting, I don't think Watson and Dobbs and Wicks and Musgrave and Kraft and the offensive line, I don't think these guys are feeling very good. A couple plays in a row here. Schneidman lays out. We'll start with third interception of the day goes to Eric Stokes. Clifford throws slightly behind Wicks over the middle, and the ball deflects off Wicks' hands to Stokes. This is the same one we just talked about. Clifford then throws a wobbly, underthrown bomb down the left sideline to Watson, and Stokes commits DPI near the pylon. Stokes is everywhere, sometimes just getting a little grabby, but still, he's everywhere. Stokes also had a nice pass breakup on a good go ball from Clifford down the right sideline to Watson. Stokes appears to be shaken up for a bit, but he stayed in. Please don't do that to me. And then Stokes picks off Clifford again. Couldn't find anyone anyways. So I think that might be the same one. I don't know. No, it's not. Another pick. Clifford pressured again, steps up in the pocket, throws a pick to Eric Stokes intended for Watson. That's 2 picks. Okay, so that is the same one. There's so many I'm getting confused which one we're even talking about anymore. Kyle Malzahn says, really tough first few days of training camp for Sean Clifford. Threw another interception to Stokes just now. Stokes 2 interceptions on the day. Third interception thrown by Clifford. I have a solution. Not tomorrow. Next 3-day training camp session, Pratt needs to be QB1. Just try it. Or Jordan. Either way. However that works out. Nice throw from Pratt over the middle to Bo Melton. Then another one to Heath, but Heath dropped it. I'm just saying. Josh Meyer is a bit slow getting up after the last play, talking to Nate Weir after the play. Nate is our new head athletic director guy, whatever. Pocket collapse during team drills. Josh Myers landed on the ground, needed help getting up from some teammates. He's walking to the sideline gingerly. And that is a wrap on day 3 of Green Bay Packers training camp. There's a little bit more we can talk about. I'll save that for tomorrow because I don't believe that there's any practice tomorrow. Could be wrong. Don't know. But I also got to get going, so I'm going to leave it at that for now. You guys have a great rest of your day. Good job to the Packers defense, who is now 3-0 by a wide margin. But there's also Aaron Rodgers' press conference that people are talking about. I don't know exactly what he said yet, but we'll look into that as well as everything else, locker room stuff. And I will talk to you tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Does your summer need a boost? Get ready to power up your home with Wayfair's Black Friday in July. Starting July 26th, you can get up to 80% off everything home. Save on living room updates, home decor, outdoor, and way more. Plus, flash deals you don't want to miss. And get free shipping site-wide. Shop Wayfair's Black Friday in July from July 26th through 29th. And head to wayfair.com to start shopping our lowest prices of the summer.
Wayfair, every style, every home.